Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on a truly unique journey, venturing into some really unexpected corners of digital interaction.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit different this time.
Our source material for this deep dive isn't, a traditional research paper or a stack of documents. Instead, we're unpacking the digital echoes from, well, a single compelling audio file. KingBurrito.mp3.
And it's not a static source at all, right?
Yeah.
It's this vibrant kind of sprawling conversation that just unfolded on a social audio platform.
Exactly. It gives this candid and honestly often hilarious glimpse into how people connect and create stuff online. In fact, you can hear it right from the start, that spontaneous kind of unpolished energy of the space. Like this snippet here, this off-key chorus plays snippet. Dream, 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 dream. When I'm with you, dream. All I have to do is dream.
Yeah, it immediately sets this wonderfully unusual tone, doesn't it?
It really does.
So our mission today really is to skillfully navigate this rich, sometimes wonderfully bewildering landscape of dialogue.
Right.
We'll be trying to pull out the most interesting insights, maybe some surprising facts, and those quiet, genuine moments of shared humanity that often pop up when people are just being themselves in these digital spaces.
Yeah, those moments are gold.
And this source, despite its informal, totally spontaneous nature, it really offers a treasure trove of information. It sheds light on fascinating aspects of, modern communication, the evolving role of tech in creativity, and it even chronicles this sprawling, fantastical genesis of a global business venture, all just happening within this one conversation.
That's precisely it. So prepare yourselves for a deep dive that promises, well, a blend of genuine humor, some truly surprising technological insights, and I think a profound sense of authentic human connection.
Definitely.
We're going to explore how these digital spaces, particularly these live social audio platforms, how they foster unique forms of connection and creativity, and how they frequently blur the lines between the real, the absurd, and kind of everything in between.
It's a bit of a wild ride, yeah.
It is. But one that offers incredible insights, I think, into the nuanced dynamics of our increasingly connected world and, how we actually build communities within it.
Couldn't agree more. Where should we start?
All right, let's unpack this by starting with the very foundation, right? The social audio platform itself. Our first stop on this journey through KingBurrito.mp3 reveals the, let's say, unpredictable nature of these spaces.
Yeah, unpredictable is a good word for it.
They're frequently characterized by a surprising array of technical glitches and, well, unexpected behaviors. The source material is absolutely riddled with examples.
Oh, yeah. Constantly.
We hear distinct frustrations, people saying things like space closed down, users being booted out, and even individuals getting removed from the space the second they accept a microphone invitation.
Right, that specific one seemed like a known bug they were trying to figure out.
Yeah. And there are candid admissions that these spaces can be inherently glitchy. Interestingly, even the host of the space admits to running two different devices as hosting at the same time, which they actually say makes them partially guilty.
It was fascinating in itself, right? That awareness of maybe contributing to the instability.
Totally.
And what's truly interesting here is how these technical limitations, they're far from just minor annoyances. They profoundly impact the user experience. They directly affect participation, the whole flow of the conversation.
You said it like you can hear it.
Consider the palpable frustration when a user just blurts out, "This space is effed up,"
Yeah.
Or that really poignant, almost desperate plea, "I need a friend, I feel alone."
That hits hard.
It does. These aren't just fleeting complaints. There are moments where the technology is directly getting in the way of human connection. It's creating this sense of isolation, even though you're supposed to be in a social space.
Right, in a space full of people, potentially.
Exactly. It really highlights the inherent challenges, the vulnerabilities of live social audio. Unlike, say, a pre-recorded podcast or a carefully edited video, these live environments are just subject to real-time instability.
Yeah.
And the users, they're acutely aware of it.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, about the underlying architecture of these platforms. Like, what does this prevalence of glitches actually suggest about their maturity?
Are they just growing pains?
Right. Are these just growing pains of a technology finding its feet? Or are there fundamental trade-offs being made, between the immediacy and the spontaneity these platforms offer, which is the appeal, and the kind of stability and reliability we sort of expect from more established digital communication?
That's the key question. And how do users adapt? how do they cope with these persistent digital quirks, often, right there in the moment.
Well, the source itself gives us this perfect, almost comically illustrative anecdote. Someone recounts being told, kind of playfully, to report your space. But they took it literally. They actually did it. And then, guess what? The space was reported.
Oh, wow. Seriously.
Yeah. It led to this amazing misinterpretation where the host then found out, and they say something like, my space was reported because I told you to do so because I never said you will take it seriously.
That's brilliant. It perfectly encapsulates how the informal, chatty nature of these spaces, combined with those inherent technical oddities, can lead to genuine, albeit often humorous, confusion.
And real consequences, apparently.
Yeah, unintended consequences for sure.
And that kind of leads into this broader theory that gets actively discussed in the source. This idea that accepting this the moment you get it, you are being removed from the space. They're talking about accepting the mic invite.
Right. And that's not just a random, isolated observation, is it? It points to users collectively trying to decipher and navigate what seems like a consistent pattern of behavior within the platform.
They're like digital detectives.
Exactly. Yeah. It's fascinating insight into how individuals within a digital community collectively troubleshoot. They try to understand the unseen, often quirky mechanics of the software environment they're in. They're essentially developing this kind of folk theory about the platform's algorithms, trying to impose some order on what often feels like digital chaos, just so they can keep talking to each other.
That collective sense-making, yeah. It's powerful, even if it sounds frustrating as heck, especially when you're just trying to join a conversation.
Definitely a powerful aspect of early platform adoption, warts and all.
So, shifting gears slightly, but still related to the quirks of digital communication, let's explore another rich vein here, the art of miscommunication and the humor it generates.
Oh, this source is packed with that.
It really is. KingBurrito.mp3 is a goldmine of instances where words are misheard, where voice-to-text errors create just unintentional comedy, and where participants engage in playful, sometimes maybe intentional misunderstandings.
The captions seem to be a major culprit or maybe catalyst.
Totally. For example, the live captions famously misinterpret bedroom desire as red room desire.
Right, which then leads to this very amusing observation about red bumps.
Yeah, which naturally sparks this wave of laughter in the space. And later, the name Kinbury, just for a moment, fleetingly and perhaps fatefully becomes King Burrito.
Ah, the origin story.
Exactly. A tiny error that, as we'll definitely get into, inadvertently sparks the entire fantastical King Burrito saga that defines so much of this deep dive.
It's amazing how small things can spiral.
Isn't it? And there's even this particularly memorable, hilarious slip of the tongue combined with a caption error that transforms into the truly bizarre phrase, gay massage broken liquid finger.
Okay, I remember hearing that. Just pure accidental absurdity.
Right, and everyone present just found it deeply amusing. You hear the laughter.
It's quite remarkable how digital communication, especially with real-time live captioning, introduces these completely new layers of misinterpretation. It's not just about what you say anymore. It's what the technology thinks you said and then displays to everyone else.
Yeah, that translation layer.
And the reliance on voice typing versus traditional manual typing is explicitly mentioned as a factor. One speaker notes, "This is what can happen when I use my voice to type instead of my typing finger."
Good point.
It highlights something significant. Our interfaces, the tools we use, profoundly influence the nuances of our communication, often in unexpected ways that just inadvertently generate comedy.
And the participants clearly revel in these funny captions, don't they? They take what could be frustrating errors and turn them into shared moments.
Absolutely. Shared moments of laughter, bonding, finding joy in the imperfections of the digital medium itself.
You can almost picture it, right? Someone may be, as they suggest, falling asleep and then noticing funny captions popping up on their screen.
Yeah.
Leading to this collective, slightly disoriented, but totally human experience of shared amusement. It's a powerful reminder, I think. Even when technology tries to help or streamline communication, it can sometimes produce its own unique brand of comedic chaos.
And what's compelling is how the community in that space doesn't just tolerate it, they actively embrace these moments. They turned potential communication breakdowns into shared inside jokes, strengthening their connection.
Yeah, it definitely strengthens the group dynamic. So, okay, in these very informal, often chaotic digital spaces, how do people navigate the delicate stuff, like trust, setting boundaries, especially when some interactions start to maybe blur the lines with professional life?
That's a crucial question. And the source gives us some intriguing glimpses.
There's that particularly telling moment where one speaker says, kind of playfully, I trust you for some reason.
Right, and the response is interesting.
Yeah, the other person comes back maybe with a subtle shift in tone and says, I trust you, I never said that. Okay, interesting.
That subtle interplay immediately highlights the delicate, often implicit nature of trust in these spaces. Where glitches happen, where playful deception, like being told to report your space, can easily be misinterpreted.
Or taken literally, as we saw.
Exactly. It raises that important question for anyone in online communities. How do you tell seriousness from jest when the line is so easily blurred by the medium itself?
It's tough. One speaker candidly admits, I can't tell when people are just kidding sometimes.
While another describes themselves seemingly seriously as quite a serious person because I don't understand why, almost like their own literal interpretation is a source of amusement or maybe slight confusion.
That dynamic creates this fascinating tension, doesn't it? Where one person might be inherently more literal or earnest and the other more prone to humor, maybe playful subversion.
It underscores the ongoing, often subtle negotiation of social cues that happens constantly in digital spaces, maybe even more acutely with less direct feedback than face-to-face. It's like a constant calibration process.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not just about navigating humor, is it? It's about managing very real, tangible responsibilities outside the digital sphere. The discussion also touches on the critical importance of setting boundaries, even in these informal online hangouts, particularly when dealing with clients professionally.
Right, that example was very relatable.
We hear a host express that frustration, saying, I started answering my client messages past 9.00, and now I'm getting from well past 11.00.
Oof, been there.
Right. And their practical self-preserving solution is to just deal with it tomorrow morning and let clients know, basically, I understand, but I have workers when I want to turn my brain off.
And that truly illuminates the practical implications of those blurred lines between social and professional interactions in these hyper-connected spaces.
Yeah, that always-on culture.
Exactly. The accessibility and immediacy that make these platforms appealing also make it incredibly challenging to switch off. That desire to turn my brain off isn't just a simple longing for rest.
No.
It's a crucial need for maintaining mental well-being and establishing healthy professional boundaries in a world that increasingly expects constant availability. And what's fascinating is how this informal social audio space becomes an unexpected forum for discussing these very real pressing pressures of modern work-life balance.
Yeah, it's not just jokes and glitches.
No, it shows how these digital communities, despite their casual nature, can serve as sounding boards for everyday struggles and practical solutions.
That conversation around navigating digital complexities, personal boundaries, it really highlights how these informal spaces reflect our real-world challenges. But okay, from navigating these everyday digital pressures, our source material takes an even more imaginative turn.
Understatement of the year, perhaps.
Probably. It showcases the boundless, often utterly absurd creativity that can just erupt when minds converge online. Let's dive into what is arguably the most delightfully absurd and fascinating part of our deep dive. The genesis and sprawling global vision of Kim Burrito.
Ah, yes, King Burrito, or Kim Burrito. It seems to fluctuate.
It does. We should probably stick with Kim Burrito, as that seems to be the dominant spelling pronunciation later, even if King Burrito was the initial caption error. But yeah, this isn't just a product or a fleeting idea. It's presented as an entire universe with meticulous, albeit comedic, detail.
Right. It's described with genuine aspiration almost as the new trash food, fast food that is going to take over the world.
You can practically feel the conviction behind that comedic assertion, can't you? Even amidst the humor.
What's truly fascinating here is the sheer absurdity woven together with this, comedic genius.
Yeah.
It functions as a brilliant satire, not just a funny idea for its own sake.
How so?
Well, when they declare Kim Burrito as the new trash food, fast food that is going to take over the world, they're not just being silly, they're subtly mocking the unchecked ambition of global commerce, right? And the pervasive, often unchallenged influence of fast food.
Yeah, good point.
And then the idea of these burritos being 100% made of non-biological products, specifically all the substances that a plant can steal and store and grab from the surface of the earth.
Yeah, that detail is wild.
It serves as this darkly humorous, almost dystopian commentary on our increasingly processed diets, and maybe the lengths companies might go to for profit. even if it means blurring the lines of what food even is.
Right.
It just highlights how these informal, spontaneous digital settings can become these incubators for incredibly creative, collaborative brainstorming, where the boundaries of reality are just happily suspended to playfully expose deeper truths about our society and its consumers' tendencies.
And they absolutely lean into it, building out this world with incredible detail. One of the participants declares with full mock conviction, "Kim Burrito, people in 10 years will not remember. They will ask, 'What is McDonald's? Where's McDonald's?'"
Hey, total market domination.
It's not just a product. In their shared fantasy, it's nothing short of a cultural revolution designed to completely erase existing culinary giants.
And the burritos themselves, their composition.
Even more outlandish. Beyond non-biological products, they're described as being made from all the substances that a plant can steal and store and grab from the surface of the earth. This pseudo-scientific, almost ecological justification just makes the whole concept even funnier.
It gives it this bizarre internal logic, which is part of its charm, right? It's like a corporate branding exercise from a parallel, very strange universe.
Definitely. And building on that, the Kim Burrito empire demonstrates this astonishing progression. It refuses to stop at just food.
No, it expands into this multifaceted product line with increasingly bizarre, vaguely disturbing purported effects.
Yeah, we hear about Kim Burrito having fun, Kim Burrito with a lot of sugar, and then the more exotic Kim Burrito with H-green sugar baby, and even Kim Burrito Shamika.
The conceptual progression is remarkable. It morphs from a simple food item to other consumables, and then, audaciously, even to forms of energy. And there's that clear, biting, satirical element in making traditionally illegal substances, like the H-green sugar baby, quote, legal and will be controlled by the government.
Yeah, a playful but pointed jab at real-world drug policies and state control.
Exactly.
And they don't stop there. They talk about Kim Burrito cigarettes, implying this whole new level of addiction and consumption beyond just eating.
And then it goes even further.
Right. We hear about Kimberto oil and Kimberto diesel as fuel sources, playfully called Kimberto's residuals. It's this complete, sprawling, dystopian, yet incredibly humorous vision for the future. Not just food, but energy, pleasure, even human biology.
That biology part is maybe the weirdest bit.
Has to be. The idea that consuming these burritos leads to specific physical modifications. Your body gets modified and adapted in such a way that, first of all, you lose the sense of the smell to begin with, so you don't smell anything.
Wow. Okay.
You should say something. And second, it's kind of addictive. And maybe even more outlandishly, the claim that people will, in 10 years, they will forget about what sex was because they will think about pleasure and they will think about smoking Kimberto cigarettes that will become legal.
So it's a total reimagining of societal pleasures and human experience, all seen through the bizarre, all-consuming lens of a burrito.
Pretty much.
This truly raises an important question. How does this playful narrative, starting with a simple food item, spiral into a complete, fully articulated economic and political system?
Because it does, right? The ultimate goal is global currency and power.
Exactly. We hear the detailed, if comically absurd, mechanics of Kimberto currency that is going to be minted by the people that are going to buy Kimbertos in the process of eating a Kimburrito.
And how is it minted?
What you are doing, all the energies involved in the digesting the Kimburrito, it will have a USB port in your tummy connected to a mining device.
No, that's where it gets genuinely mind-bending and hilarious. A USB port in your tummy mining currency while you digest.
This concept just masterfully intertwines consumption, technology, and global domination in one go, creating this perfectly self-contained, if ridiculous, economic ecosystem.
It speaks to a shared human desire, perhaps, for a simplified, universally accepted, controlled global economy, albeit one powered quite literally by our stomachs.
And the clever inclusion of no pumping nor dumping in relation to this currency, that's a subtle, astute nod to familiar financial market talk, right? Adds a layer of sophisticated satire to the fantasy.
Definitely. And then the playful proposal for one host to become the empress of this new world order.
Which immediately sparks the question, are we sure I won't face challenge from the Emperor Burrito?
Yeah. It just cements the deeply collaborative and highly immersive fantasy of power they're building. They're not just talking about an idea. They're quite literally building a fantastical world and its governance structure together in real time.
Right there in the digital space. It absolutely solidifies the ambitious idea that Kimburrito is the most accepted payment all over the world. Use Kimburrito that money can buy for everything else.
And that challenge, Kim Burrito want your country. Can you give your country to Kim Burrito?
It just demonstrates the expansive, all-encompassing nature of this fantasy empire, demanding total surrender of sovereignty to the burrito.
It's a powerful testament to the boundless creativity that can emerge when minds converge in these informal digital spaces, building shared realities that, however absurd, become intensely real and logically coherent within their own conversational ecosystem.
Highlights the power of collective imagination for sure, creating entire alternate realities.
Okay, so moving on from the ambitious, world-dominating vision of Kim Burrito, let's delve into another fascinating and equally rich aspect of this deep dive: how these creative minds are exploring and engaging with cutting-edge tools in the digital age, particularly AI.
Yes, the AI discussion was really interesting too.
The conversation touches extensively on using AI for video generation, 3D animation. They reference specific tools, often bleeding-edge ones like Runway, Midjourney, Snowpixel, Automatic 111.
And even the older pioneering Deep Dream generator gets a mention.
Right. It's clear AI isn't just theoretical for them. It's a tangible tool they are actively engaging with, experimenting with, discussing its practical implications for creative work.
What's particularly fascinating is their pragmatic exploration of both the immense benefits and the inherent limitations of AI for artists, especially, as one speaker candidly admits, for those who can't draw.
Yeah, that really highlights AI's democratizing potential, doesn't it? Making impressive visuals accessible to people without traditional artistic skills or training.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it also brings that critical tension into sharp focus. While tools like Deep Dream, which was notoriously not easy back in the day, have now evolved and taken out a few of the boys by becoming more user-friendly, others like Runway doesn't allow me to do everything I want to do.
Right, that trade-off between accessibility and granular creative control.
Exactly. And there's a clear distinction made between cultivating a strong prompt game, the skill in crafting precise text commands to guide the AI.
Yeah, prompt engineering.
And what they call the invisible line of prop in tools like Midjourney. This invisible line suggests that some AI tools, while seemingly simple, are doing a lot of sophisticated behind-the-scenes generation or interpretation.
So less direct control, maybe?
Potentially less direct control, but maybe delivering stunning outputs more easily for a broader user base. It points to this fascinating ongoing tension in AI creativity. How much is really the human artist's input, and how much is the algorithm's inherent, almost built-in artistry or interpretation?
That's a crucial distinction. One participant perfectly articulates what they call the struggle of tech people who made it do a thing it's not supposed to do. They compare their intricate work to the precise craft of a watchmaker.
I like that analogy.
Who creates something incredibly complex that others might just see as a beautiful, shiny object. It raises important questions for the broader artistic community, doesn't it?
Definitely. Like, what are the implications of AI allowing non-tech savvy individuals to create impressive visuals so easily?
Yeah.
How does this challenge traditional skills, craftsmanship, even the definition of art?
The vivid example of creating a Breaking Bad Lego people scene with AI is a brilliant illustration of this new frontier. And they talk about using AI extensively for concept art and brainstorming ideas and generating a bulk set to kickstart projects.
But despite the obvious power of these tools, they also frankly discuss the struggle, right? The struggle to fully incorporate it creatively into my workflow, to address the fine details and the nuances of the lighting, or to precisely create textures and weird patterns that maybe only a human eye can truly envision.
Yeah, it points to AI's current, very real limitations. It's incredibly powerful for broad strokes, initial concepts, rapid prototyping.
Right.
But that nuanced human touch, the precise artistic vision, it seems it's still crucial for intricate control and the ultimate refinement of a piece.
It's a dynamic, evolving interplay, isn't it, between human creative vision and algorithmic capability, constantly pushing boundaries, but also highlighting where human intuition remains indispensable.
Okay, let's shift focus again to something perhaps even more deeply human and universally understood than AI music.
Ah, yes. The soundtrack to the chaos.
Pretty much. The source material is absolutely filled with spontaneous singing, quoting song lyrics, referencing a wide array of musicians. Participants just frequently burst into songs, sometimes off-key, sometimes with mixed-up lyrics. It seems almost like an immediate reflex.
It really does. You hear snippets of everything from classics like Lonely is the Night to, what else was there? Dream, Don't Dream It's Over, Freed from Desire.
Satisfaction, I Can't Smile Without You, My Way. Even a Never Gonna Give You Up makes an appearance, of course.
Of course. And more than words, the drugs don't work. They also mentioned diverse artists like Gala, Eiffel 65, Benny Benassi, The Weather Girls, Isaac Hayes. It's quite a mix.
It really is.
And what's truly fascinating here is how music consistently serves as this common, almost primal language, an immediate emotional outlet within this digital space.
Yeah, it's clearly not about professional performance.
Not at all. One person openly admits to being very bad at singing, yet the act itself is described by others in the space as beautiful and heartfelt, which underscores that the function of music here isn't about skill. It functions as this powerful bonding mechanism, a direct way to express feelings that maybe words alone can't fully capture. And it's a source of shared cultural reference points that immediately connect people.
Despite the unpolished, sometimes raw nature of the singing, its authenticity fosters genuine connection.
Absolutely.
That raw authenticity really shines through. It makes you wonder, though, how does this spontaneous, often off-key singing really stand apart from a polished professional performance? And what does that contrast reveal about the very definition of authenticity in these digital communities?
It suggests authenticity isn't about perfection, right? It's about the courage to participate, to share something of yourself. As one person notes, it takes a lot to put yourself out there, and you absolutely do. You don't even feel the fear anymore. You just do it anyway.
That's powerful. And there's also that strong element of nostalgia, isn't there? Mentions of earliest childhood memories associated with particular songs.
Highlighting how music ties them not just to a shared present, but to shared pasts, deep emotional foundations. It's like a collective emotional recall triggered by a familiar tune.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, within this rich creative landscape, there's this palpable drive, a profound drive to create and, more specifically, to leave a lasting legacy.
Right. The conversation touches on deeply personal aspirations, like writing books.
And it's presented not just as personal fulfillment or a hobby, but something deeper, more enduring, leaving a legacy, creating a living record of what your life in this sport has been. Sport, possibly meaning their online community, or just life's journey.
And that's powerfully contrasted with the fear of losing a work of a lifetime, like extensive family history research. Someone mentions their mother's collection of books. Incredible. Her research regarding the family history is like, wow, it's a work of a lifetime? The value placed on that kind of permanent physical record is really striking.
That brings up a really important question for all of us, right? Navigating the digital age. How does the rapid pace, the often ephemeral nature of digital platforms, how does it both facilitate and complicate creating and preserving these legacies?
It's a double-edged sword. Digital tools can help disseminate work incredibly widely, but the fear of losing valuable, maybe non-digitized work like that family history research is a very real anxiety.
Yeah, and there's even that moment where one participant feels the subtle pressure of others saying, I want to write a book as well. It shows this shared ambition, mutual encouragement within the community to create something lasting.
It's a profound testament to that inherent human desire for self-expression and lasting impact, even when we're operating in these fluid, sometimes ephemeral digital spaces. The tools change, but the underlying need seems constant.
Well said. Okay, let's transition now to a truly fascinating aspect. The intricate interplay between the personal and the public within these shared digital spaces.
Right, how people navigate that blurred line.
Exactly. KingBurrito.mp3 offers these poignant moments where participants bravely share personal vulnerabilities or engage in disarming, self-deprecating humor, often just seamlessly intertwined with the general chaos.
Like owning their quirks.
Totally. One speaker humorously identifies themselves saying, the joke is that I'm quite a serious person because I don't understand why embracing this quirky, almost contradictory identity while clearly seeking connection.
And another just directly describes themselves as a pain in the ass, which immediately disarms potential criticism.
Yeah. And we hear that recurring playful joke about being Mickey and you know me even though nobody knows me, embracing this almost anonymous celebrity while simultaneously reaching out for recognition.
What's fascinating is precisely how these personal revelations, however small or humorous, manage to create such a profound sense of intimacy in what is essentially a public forum.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive sometimes.
There's an undeniable acceptance of flaws, a collective embrace of quirky, often self-deprecating identities that actively helps forge deeper bonds. There's even that particularly telling moment where one speaker playfully expresses, I don't like that you're a very serious person. I know a part of you that is not serious. And you know what? It's got a strong...
Or suggesting a deeper understanding.
Exactly. Not just challenging a persona,
Right.
but showing a deeper, more nuanced understanding and appreciation of the other person's full, complex character. It speaks to the layers of genuine connection that can develop, moving beyond just surface interaction to a more authentic, vulnerable exchange.
It's in those moments that the social audio really comes through.
Definitely.
It's precisely those moments, like the embarrassing singing we discussed, where participants show this impressive willingness to put yourself out there, despite openly admitting their perceived flaws. This shared vulnerability creates an incredibly relatable, authentic atmosphere.
It breaks down those often impersonal barriers that can characterize online interaction, fostering an environment where imperfection isn't just tolerated, but maybe even celebrated as part of genuine human connection.
Building on that, the participants show a very clear, conscious awareness of an unseen audience, right?
Sure.
Alongside explicitly acknowledging defined roles within the space.
Yeah, like that direct, almost procedural statement, you are the host, I am the speaker, it immediately establishes a structure.
So how do these seemingly rigid roles shape the interaction, even if they're then playfully subverted?
Well, the speaker, for instance, humorously asserts, my creation is Kim Burrito, and then playfully adds that this creation is worse than me, which means better than me, a self-deprecating twist on their own proclaimed creative power. And there's that curious dynamic where one person describes the other as a scary, I won't say monster because you're not monster, but it's something that scares because you're scary, acknowledging a position of influence or maybe a commanding presence.
Interesting. So these roles, even when infused with humor, create this underlying framework.
Yeah, an unspoken set of rules that subtly yet powerfully governs the flow and dynamic of the conversation.
This brings up a really intriguing point.
Yeah.
What does it truly mean when one participant is considered a celebrity just because they're being on the internet and having their voice heard?
Right, we hear someone say, technically you're like a celebrity to me because you're on the internet and I hear your voice and so technically you're a celebrity.
That speaks volumes about the evolving nature of online influence, doesn't it? And that build in public mentality where mere presence and an audible voice can create this sense of notability, even micro-celebrity status.
It fundamentally changes the dynamic when they know there are, say, 15 people on here actively watching and listening.
And the host, meanwhile, is playfully, yet tellingly, granted Supreme Lord powers. It further illustrates how these roles are both playfully assigned and implicitly understood to govern the space, granting a certain authority.
Absolutely. And finally, within this broader landscape of digital interaction, we get this glimpse into participants' preferences for different social platforms.
Yeah, the blue sky mention.
Right. There's a notably positive sentiment expressed towards Blue Sky, described with genuine enthusiasm as a breath of fresh air.
Which invites us to explore, well, what specific qualities make a social platform feel that way, especially compared to potentially more chaotic, overwhelming, or problematic alternatives.
What does it suggest about what users are looking for in online communities today?
That's a great question. The direct statement, someone said it was a breath of fresh air, and I got to agree, I really like the people I've encountered on Blue Sky so far, seems pretty clear.
It indicates perhaps a significant shift in priorities for online interaction. Maybe a move away from just sheer volume or the constant chase for virality.
Towards a deeper desire for genuine connection. A more curated, positive, less abrasive environment.
Possibly. It suggests that after navigating the glitches, the noise, the wildness of other platforms, users are actively seeking spaces that foster a different kind of digital interaction. One, emphasizing quality of connection over sheer quantity.
Food for thought.
Definitely. So as we bring together all these incredibly diverse, vibrant threads from kingburrito.mp3, we can really see how this single audio source offered this unique, multifaceted window into the essence of digital interaction.
It really did. From the frustrating, yet often funny, technical glitches that shape the experience.
To the hilarious miscommunications from voice to text. To the boundless creative fantasies like the King Burrito global empire. And finally, to those authentic human connections forged through shared music, humor, vulnerability. It's all in there.
It's a powerful testament, I think, to the fact that even in seemingly chaotic or informal online spaces, there's this rich, complex tapestry of human experience unfolding, demonstrating our innate drives to connect, create, find meaning, even in those unexpected digital corners.
Exactly.
Absolutely. The enduring takeaway from this deep dive, for me at least, is that whether it's dreaming up a global burrito empire, grappling with cutting-edge AI as a creative tool, or just breaking into song mid-conversation, there's this profound human desire underneath it all.
To connect, create, express.
Right. To express ourselves and, yeah, even to playfully dream of world domination. Understanding these underlying dynamics helps us navigate our increasingly digital lives with hopefully more insight, greater empathy for the quirks of online interaction.
And definitely, as we learned today, a fantastic sense of humor.
Couldn't have done it without that.
So maybe a final thought for our listeners. As our digital and physical lives continue to intertwine in ever more complex ways, perhaps consider this. How do we best cultivate spaces both online and off that allow for both our most serious pursuits and our most delightfully absurd dreams to flourish side by side?
That's a powerful way to frame it, and I hope this deep dive encourages you, the listener, to reflect on your own experiences in digital spaces. Maybe it'll inspire you to even find the King Burrito moments in your own life, those unexpected insights, those pockets of humor that can emerge when we just take the time to unpack the conversations and interactions happening all around us. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.